circle of fifths. A lot of people find it confusing. It's a very common thing to find in both bluegrass music and jazz and swing music. They'll say something like, jump up to an E7th and go around the circle of the fifths until you're home. And what do you do with something like that? The 5-7 to 1 is one of the best known turnarounds in all of music. You've seen G7th to C, or A7th to D. Those sevenths, those 5-7 chords, just want to go home. And the circle of the fifths is based on that principle. You'll see a part of the circle of fifths here. B goes to E, goes to A, goes to D, goes to G. And the sequence here, you'll probably, those of you who've been around music for a while will recognize that as a series of sharp keys with less sharps. 5 sharps, 4 sharps, 3 sharps, 2 sharps, 1 sharp. But it also represents a series of 5 chords. Each one of these is shown as a 7th chord. So if you take an A7th and instead of going to a D, you go to a D7th, it won't feel like it's gone home because that D7th wants to go to a G. And if that D7th went on to not a G, but a G7th, that would want to go to a C. So traveling along this line from E7th to A7th to D7th to G7th is called a circle of fifths because each of those 7th chords sounds like a fifth. Sounds like it should be the 5 of something. And when you go from one 7th chord to the next 7th chord, it's not like going home. A7 is supposed to go to D, not D7th. And so by going to D7th, it keeps pushing it along and makes for really solid progressions that drive the music forward. A lot of tunes adopt what's called a circle of the fifths ending. So consider something in the key of G. One ending might be a 6-2-5 ending. So we have a G, E minor, A minor, D7th, back to G. And in order to make this more compelling, to give it more punch, those things are converted into 7ths. So it becomes and that's illustrated by the turnaround that connects the first A and the second A of Ain't Misbehaving.
Ain't misbehaving, I'm saving my love for you.
Here's what happened in that Ain't Misbehaving example. One started out with a G chord and it went to an E7th. So one has jumped up to the circle of fifths, gone around until one goes back home. So G has gone back to G. In the case of C, one could either jump up to A7th and then go A7th, D7th, G7th to C, or one could go to E7th. And you will see that in the case of Sweet Georgia Brown. Some standards are constructed almost completely along a circle of fifths of this type, where you go 6, 2, 5, and then back to the 1. Sweet Georgia Brown is a particularly good example of that. Playing Sweet Georgia Brown in the key of D, one would start with B7th.
No gal made has got a shade on, sweet Georgia Brown. Two left feet, but oh so neat has sweet Georgia Brown. They all sigh and wanna die for sweet Georgia Brown. I'll tell you just why.
And if you wanted to play it a step lower in the key of C, you would start with an A7.
No gal maid has got a shade on, sweet Georgia Brown. Two left feet, but oh so neat has sweet Georgia Brown. They all die and wanna sigh for sweet Georgia Brown. I'll tell you just why. You know I don't lie, not much. It's been said she knocks 'em dead when she comes to town.
The most common use of this full circle of fifths that starts with the 3-7, is in the bridges of songs from the 30s and 40s. There are quite a few of them that one could say side by side. I Got Rhythm. In fact, it's often called an I Got Rhythm bridge.
Straighten up and fly right.
Straighten Up and Fly Right. And 5'2". And 5'2" is a really good example because the verse also uses the circle of fifths. And we're going to play it in the key of C. So it's going to start into the circle in the bridge on the E7th. But the verse starts with the C.
5'2", eyes are blue.